Computex is a week and a half from now, and it is one of the year's biggest consumer electronics shows after the Consumer Electronics Show in the US. So there was CES in January, Computex is coming up now, and Computex is much larger for the hardware industry in general. We'll be seeing a lot of new components coming out, and that's what we're talking about today. It's basically what to expect at Computex, and the answer to that is a few things, starting with Intel's new Broadwell-E and the supporting motherboards. So Broadwell-E proper, I'm not entirely sure when that will be hitting the market, but we do know that the X99 motherboards, the refresh, will be coming out very soon, and that's actually some of them are already beginning to hit production and ship and things like that. So these X99 motherboards, they will work with Broadwell-E. They of course work with the older processors in the Extreme series as well, and primarily it's a BIOS update to support the new Broadwell-E chip, and then there's also a couple of new features on some of them. For example, U.2 support on the Gigabyte boards that we saw at PAX East just recently, and that U.2 support is new to these X99 boards. It's sort of an emerging standard for SSDs, and it will replace SATA in some capacity, but not entirely. So certainly expect X99 boards. The next thing would be the AIB partner versions of the GTX 1080, maybe the GTX 1070, but certainly the 1080. The reviews are already out, ours are out, and the 980 or 1080 hybrid conversion we did is out, but the AIB version of that will be coming soon, and hopefully with some voltage mods or at least more power supply to the card, if not a different VBIOS. Either way though, the AIB versions will have their better coolers, so MSI's got the traditional twin Frozer. That will probably continue on the GTX 1080 series. EVGA with their ACX cooler, Gigabyte's got their Wind Force and Water Force and things like that. So all of those will be coming out soon. Look out for our coverage of those at Computex. I'm sure we'll be looking at some of it. The next thing, we received this information through the interwebs, and it's a new Cyberpower Design for their upcoming PC, so you can see that on the screen now. But it's basically a weirdly tessellated tower. It's a super tower. It's got this tessellation on it that has the sort of triangle effect that you're seeing in the aesthetic, and being a super tower, it means it's large, so technically, from what we understand, it can fit 10 optical drives, but it will not actually host 10 optical drives. It's not what they're using the space for. My guess is that space will be used for liquid, so probably an open loop reservoir or something like that. It's a ton of space for open loop cooling. And it also has 4-way SLI support from what we saw in the rear I/O pictures. You can see there's clearly support for 4-way SLI. That, I believe, is shipping Q4 2016, and the big thing is the Super Tower with the sort of tessellated aesthetic. So that is what they're targeting for that one for a high-end enthusiast rig. The next thing to look out for, hopefully a Polaris update. So Pascal, of course, has been basically fully launched at this point with GP104 and GP100. And the 1070 is coming out with a cut down, I think, version of the GP104 chip, and then Polaris would be next, and that's from AMD. So Polaris is it precedes Vega, which precedes Navi, and Polaris will not have HBM2, but it will probably have GDDR5X and maybe HBM. We're not really sure yet though. Polaris certainly is going to be shipping some of the mid-range, low-end cards from what all the rumors have said, and that would be a good place for AMD to enter the market because it means that they don't have to compete directly with NVIDIA with a 1080. So that gives both companies some breathing room to sort of solidify their foundation in each part of the market, the high-end and the mid or low-end. So that is the AMD stuff we're hoping for, and then lots of new cases. So a ton of new computer cases. We're talking to all the major case manufacturers, and pretty much all of them have something new to show us. So we're going to be doing our usual walkthrough of the show floor, and we'll show all that stuff off. So that is what to look out for at Computex 2016. Check the channel throughout the next week because we'll be doing some factory tours as well, including a tour of InWin's facilities and NZXT's facilities on the case side. And I believe we might visit some other folks as well. So check that out. Thanks for watching. As always, Patreon link in the post video. I'll see you all next time.